Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to the Third and 10 podcast, season 2, episode 33. I'm your host, Nathan Nguyen, joined by my guy, Brian Germinaro. Brian, how you doing? Nice mic, by the way. I see it. I
Thank
see
you.
it.
Yeah,
You sound great.
upgrading here as we get bigger and bigger. Gotta keep gotta get with the times here.
Gotta get with the times, right? We all gotta have mics and everything. And we are, because of you guys listening and supporting us out there, with our clips and everything, giving us likes and views. We see that and we appreciate you guys for that as well as we are still growing into this podcast business, talking what we know best, which is the game of football. So we appreciate you guys as always. You can follow us on YouTube at Third and 10 Pod, on all social media platforms, including TikTok. We have a few followers on there. So we're just trying to continue to grow on that and hopefully go live on there eventually once we reach 1,000 followers. So we're like less than halfway there, I think, but we're working on it. But yeah, we got a fun episode for you guys today. We have a lot to break down, some trades that happened, some NFL team releases, specifically from a team I thought was going to contend this year, but I was completely wrong. We'll break down the Giants and Saquon's return to MetLife Stadium.
Oh, I got some comments. I got some comments on our old friend.
You always do, my guy. You always do when it comes to the Eagles specifically, as well as a whole. We have a couple game of the weeks that we'll discuss in our new segment, and then our normal Notre Dame breakdown, and then finally our random Giants list that we mentioned on Tuesday, where we just name a bunch of random players from the Giants. We might make this a weekly thing. We'll see how that goes. But me and Brian came up with just 10 random Giants that we would like to just discuss with each other and go from there. Which, by the way, I remember when the Giants top 100 list came out for the first time, we were going to discuss that. We'll keep that in mind for a future episode because I got the book.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, let me try to find it because I got two books actually. I got this Aaron Rodgers book from Amazon. I got to start on this thing.
Out of the darkness, how fitting.
I know, huh? What's called that darkness retreat he did?
When did he write that? Is that before or after Darkness Retreat? Come out.
It was after. Yeah, it was after.
Oh, I might need to buy that book.
Makes sense. And I got this beauty. I know. I'm super excited. It's a good one. It's a good one. So I'm on player. I got past the first 10 players on that list. I'm looking forward to see who is on the rest of that list. But anyways, we'll save the whole top 10 Giants stuff for the end of the show. Top 10 random Giants at the end of the show. But first, more important news in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills saw Davante Adams get traded to the Jets and said, okay, now it's our turn.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, basically. They discussed it with the Cleveland Browns on that same day. Legit, like an hour after our show ended. Like, man. And then they got Amari Cooper. Let's be honest, he's not Davante Adams material, but he is still a wide receiver number one. And Amari Cooper is
he's one of the most underrated players in the league right now. I don't feel like you hear much about him.
Yeah, he does play for Cleveland, so makes sense, right?
I mean, like, he's probably the happiest person.
Oh,
I get to leave and go to Buffalo?
I get to play with Josh Allen instead of that sexual guy? Great. Oh, my God.
My quarterback isn't a convicted felon?
Let's go. Oh. Like, I would rather deal with the quarterback that's dating, like, Haley Steinfeld compared to that bum.
We're married? Hang on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to be like, yo, Josh, like, Ellie got some friends? A sister, maybe?
No, but I'm happy for Cooper. Definitely. I mean, whenever you get to leave Cleveland to go to like a contender, like a Buffalo Bills or a Kansas City Chiefs or stuff like that, like, good for you. And that's, lucky for Cooper. he's basically escaping hell. But in terms of what we know about Cooper, for those of you who don't know, he's 30 years old. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, has scored 62 touchdowns.
Player.
He's good. Like, he's a good player. I mean, 11 years in the league, so he's a proven veteran. Over 9,700 yards in his career, 62 touchdowns. The only bad thing is it's his third trade, I believe.
Yeah.
Third
Was
trade.
he traded to Dallas, or did he sign with Dallas?
Nah, he went from the Raiders, traded to Dallas, traded to Cleveland, and traded against Buffalo. So it's his third trade, fourth team in his career. So,
To be fair, I can't really like the Raiders got a first round pick for Amari Cooper. Like, I don't really think that's anything Cooper does. You get it all for a first round pick, like, then take it. Especially if you're the Raiders, like, you're not contending. So,
plus, he is, because I like how you mentioned Dallas, because this contract that he has, it's in the final year of that Dallas extension that the Cowboys gave him when he joined the team. So, in terms of like financially, it was pretty cheap. I think the Bills, like, they acquired like him for about 870,000.
yeah, it's like just above league minimum. Like, it's not crazy.
Like, it was incredibly cheap. And that's, to get for a wide receiver number one, like, not too bad. For the Bills, though, it's important because you see Davante might go to the Jets, and for the Bills, you enter this year without a clear receiver number one. For me, and for I'm sure a lot of us out there, we thought Keon Coleman was going to be that number one guy, but hasn't had that chemistry with Josh Allen. And, when you're depending on maybe like Khalil Shakir or Curtis Samuel, and heck, even Matt Collins scored a touchdown this past week. That's not really the most dangerous receiving group. So you go talk with Cleveland. You trade a 2025 third and a 2026 seventh round pick. You also get a 2025 sixth round pick in return, along with Cooper too. Not a bad trade, if you ask me. And the whole financial stuff, I want to mention one more thing. They can sort of thank Cleveland for not having to take up too much money by trading for Cooper, because Cleveland, they converted that $20 million base salary into a signing bonus. So that kind of just really.
Well, yeah, when you signed Deshaun Watson for $1 billion, like, you got to find money somewhere.
Gotta find money somewhere. And that's why that's part of the reason why they converted that base salary into a signing bonus, just to sign a quarterback to a big contract who is worse than Daniel Jones. Surprising. For Cooper, though, he did struggle in Cleveland this year. He led the team, though, in receiving in terms of like yards and touchdowns, which it's like not saying much because the team sucks.
Deshaun Watson can't throw a football.
Yeah.
He's struggling, because he doesn't have a quarterback. When he has Josh Allen, you're going to see the numbers magically tick up.
Oh, 100%. But in terms of Cooper himself, it's not like he's, innocent too, or either, I should say. He has 4.7 yards per target, which is second worst, so you can blame the quarterback for that. But also, Cooper has 3 drops, which is 6th most in the league. Darius Slayton is in that top 5 list, by the way, just saying. But more importantly, though, why is this good for Buffalo? Well, their receivers ranked 25th or worst in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving first downs. All pretty bad. And they hope that they get the Cooper that we've seen the past couple of years, where he's recorded at least 1,100 yards and over 72 catches in each of those 2 seasons. So my question to you to start the show is your thoughts on the trade. And how big of an impact is this for the Buffalo Bills, and if this makes them Super Bowl contenders finally?
I mean, they were already Super Bowl contenders before the trade. Like, I know they had a rough couple weeks, but we're only a few weeks removed from them being the odds-on favorite in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. Now they bring in like a legit wide receiver number one, and sure, Curtis Samuel had like a decent game on Monday night, and like they've been holding down the fort, but You now give Josh Allen the best wide receiver he's had since Stefon Diggs left. That's only going to help him. That's only going to make his game better and gives them a reliable target. And also can help guys like, Keon Coleman get going because instead of having the number 2 corner on the team, it's going to be like the number 3 or 4. So he's going to be able to go up with guys more in his skill set and be able to beat them rather than going against what the best team has because the team is to be playing around Cooper and they could forget about Coleman.
And that way Coleman can kind of slide into that wide receiver number 2, / number 3 role. Samuel can go from a 1 to a 2. Well, no, Khalil Shakir goes from a 1 to a 2, and then Samuel kind of. What I'm trying.
Everyone moves down to peg, but with how the Bills play, everyone's gonna be getting the ball.
Yeah, but Josh Allen has been spreading the ball around.
We're forcing neighbors 24/7. That's not gonna happen with Buffalo. Are they going to be targeting Cooper the most? Yeah, because he's the best receiver on that team. But it's not going to be 20 targets a game. It's going to be he's going to get 8. Coleman's going to get 5. Shakir's going to get 5. Sam will get 3. Then the next game it's going to be he gets 7. 4. It's going to be nice spreading of the ball going around.
It's just nice to have that number 1 guy, and that Josh Allen finally has that in Cooper. For most of his career, Allen has had Stefon Diggs, and those two were phenomenal when they were together. Now Allen gets his official true replacement in Amari Cooper. So
and it's an established veteran. It's not waiting for this rookie to develop. It's Cooper, little underrated, doesn't put the numbers no one would ever argue Cooper is a top 5 receiver in the league. He's just a guy that doesn't cause drama and just will get the football and just go out there and put up just decent numbers.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the Cooper move, they did have to release somebody, so they released Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So maybe the Jets go get him.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is already talking to Joe Douglas and Woody Johnson. I want him.
It's thank you for getting me Davante, but I need one more guy. Who is it?
I need my other friend. I need all my friends here.
Now that he has Davante, he has Lazard.
Yeah. He had Cobb last year.
Yeah. All they need is Marquez, and they're set.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Make that picture. Aaron Rodgers with Thanos, and each stone is all the receivers he used to play with.
Is it bad to ask if which guy is going to be more impactful for their teams? Is it going to be Davante with the Packers or Cooper with the Bills?
I think it's Cooper with the Bills because at least the Jets had a wide receiver number 1 in Garrett Wilson. And I know the connection hadn't been there, but you went into this season, the Jets all right, if we can get Wilson the ball, we're going to be fine. There was a lot of question marks surrounding this Bills wide receiving core. And Cooper kind of quiets those concerns. Okay, they do have a legitimate target. So I think the Bills, yes, Davante Adams is a better player than Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper solves more problems for the Bills than Davante Adams solves for the Jets.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I think, you better a good point because they did have Wilson as their number 1 guy. Now it's will Rodgers spread the ball around? Because now you have Adams, Wilson, and Lazard. Lazard was playing pretty well in his own right before the trade happened with Davante. So it'll be interesting to see how the target share goes across all 3 guys.
I could see a world where Garrett Wilson gets fed up and demands a trade. Couldn't you? Think about it. Before Rodgers got there, Wilson was the wide receiver of the future. He was going to be 10 years, one of the face of the franchise. So far this season, he hasn't connected with Rodgers. And now with Adams, he's kind of bumped down to wide receiver number 2. We've seen Rodgers with Lazard. He's not going to abandon that relationship. And he has a great relationship with Adams. Could we see him getting disgruntled? Be hey, I want out.
It's not out of the question. It's actually not. Now, I will say one guy that we should keep an eye on in terms of, 2 guys that we should keep an eye on in terms of a trade aspect. One less crazy than the other. I'll just name the less crazy guy first. That's Mike Williams. He was placed, I believe. I don't know if it was like the non-football injury list or so. He was
Yeah,
like,
he's not playing.
yeah, he didn't practice because of personal reasons, but
Yeah, I'm mad that Davante Adams got traded to the Jets. That's his
basically,
personal reason.
basically, we got Davante. I'm not gonna get any playing time. Get me out of here. But another guy that is kind of an interesting name to keep an eye on, even though he is a rookie, drafted in the second round. Usually it never happens, but Malachi Corley was drafted in the second round to be that slot guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's like wide receiver number 4. And I believe I forgot when it was, but he posted Corley himself, by the way, posted like a
Yeah.
couple things on his story. And like he was basically kind of calling out the Jets without calling out the Jets specifically because he was posting like his own stats. He was like
Yeah.
yards of separation or la ya ya.
Look how good I am, and look, they're not using me.
Yeah, yeah, basically. So that to me, that's like okay, yeah. Someone's upset because
Coaching at the
what?
end of the day, like that
Yeah,
comes on the coach. Like you don't have the locker. You're losing the locker room, and I know they fired Salah, and they're going to bring in a new guy in the offseason, and it's kind of just an interim period, but like it's a mess in Jets land right now, and they're just trying to cover it up with high end talent.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look and get
It reminds me of that Eagles dream team from like 2010 that had all that high end talent and just completely fell apart. Like, kind of going down that same path right now.
yeah. I remember we beat them too. I think it was like week 3. It was the Victor Cruz game where he broke out.
I have a poster on my wall of the entire season, and like I always look at that win. I'm like, that's it. That's it right there. That's Victor
That's
Cruz's coming out game.
that's when things were good. Like things made sense in life.
Eli, like we had a competent. No disrespect to Brian Dable. I love him, but Coach Coughlin is an amazing coach. Like
Way
you
different
gotta
level.
love Coughlin. Like what Mara did to Coughlin is not talked about, and it should never be forgiven for Giants fans. Especially, I remember getting really mad at it during the Joe Judge era because he said like we want to bring in the next Parcells. You had the next Parcells and Tom Coughlin, and you let him go.
Yeah, poor guy. Well, yeah, he replaced Coughlin with McAdoo.
Worked because finally the GM put some investment in the team and brought in Damian Sachs Harrison, Olivier Verdinet. There's another big name free agency guy we brought in, Jack Rabbit. Jack Rabbit. Like, you don't think that if Coughlin had that kind of defense and with McAdoo running the offense, because he was a really good coordinator, I think the Giants have the same season in 2016. And I don't think they fall apart in 2017 because Coughlin was a really good locker room. I know Coughlin was hard on his players, but we did see in 07 that he did, was good with players. He and Justin Tuck had a really good relationship. Strahan talks about how he calmed down in 07. I think it was Justin Tuck. He lost his I want to say aunt. It was some Giant lost his aunt before a game, and Coughlin brought him into his office and goes, "If you need to go with your family, football is a backseat right now." Like that kind of stuff resonates with guys, and I think Coughlin, because a big problem with McAdoo was he lost that locker room. I don't think Coughlin loses. I don't think Coughlin loses the locker room, and if they do go down the road of benching Eli Manning, it's not the public relations nightmare it is under McAdoo, because I think Coughlin handles it better.
Mm-hmm. You think he's still pissed at Mara?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Shake Mara's hand.
Right.
I don't think he's shaking Mara's hand. Like we saw the video, he walks right past him, and he's come back and stuff. I think he's just that kind of guy. Like I'm not disrespecting the Giants. Was Wellington Mara? I think it was Wellington who brought him in, or it was Ernie. It was Ernie Accorsi who brought him in. I want to say Wellington. Probably when Wellington passed, but I think it was 06. I know Coughlin was at least had one season with Wellington. I don't know if John had taken over yet because we were so a little young in the beginning of the Coughlin era. But regardless, he goes, "I'm going back to the Giants in the fan base, not for what John Mara is."
Speaking of Wellington, there's going to be a documentary on him coming
Oh,
out
really?
8 days from now. Yeah, literally, it was a trailer. I'll try to find it before the show ends, and we'll show it here for the show. But basically, the trailer was like
The Duke?
he made, yeah, the Duke.
Yes, I did see this. I didn't look into it. Wow, the Duke. Oh, the Duke, the Giants life. Okay, yeah, I love these.
Yeah, I think it's like 8 days from now, right? 25th.
Friday the 25th at 8 p.m. on NFL Network. Must watch. Must
Let's
watch.
go. Let's go.
Must
I
watch.
I
Wellington
think
Mara is one of the like. If you're not even a Giant, if you're a football fan, you know who Wellington Mara is. He's one of like the godfathers of football.
he may not have never played football, but he sure built a heck of a franchise. And
Tell the story of the NFL without a chapter of Wellington Mara and his impact on the game.
so I'm super excited. I saw that. I was like, finally, we're.
Yeah.
I just love when like our team is like featured, like
Mm-hmm.
on like on a just like on a national stage, because it
Yeah,
brings
like that.
attention to
I
us.
remember. I remember a few years ago, like almost a decade now. The NFL Network had a show called The Timeline. You ever check that out?
I have no, to be honest, no.
Great show. So they would like take a moment and like they would. It's like say they did like the Tuck Rule, but they would like explain everything that led up to that, and then the aftermath after it. And it was cool.
Mm.
And they did a Giants one called Jersey Guys. It was about how the Giants moved from New York to Jersey, and like how like in '86 the parade was they didn't want to put the parade in New York. It was going to be in New Jersey. Like a lot of really cool stuff about that, and like a story of how the Giants moved to Jersey and then like got out of the dark age of the '60s and '70s into the Parcells era. It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's amazing.
All right, man. I'm definitely gonna give that a watch. Um, but just overall, man, in terms of the Wellington stuff, he's a god. For him, without him, th- there would be no Giants. There would basically be no Giants.
No,
So thankful for him, and just even though the Mariners do piss us off sometimes, they
it's
have
his
made.
son. It's John. John can't run the team. It's what pisses me off.
Mhm.
I like Wellington. I like him, even though he ran Giants for a year or two. It's John Marr who's the problem.
Exactly. Like, why is it always the Johns? John Fisher, John Mara. I'm sure there's other Johns.
John's running sports teams. Just
Yeah.
actually no, ban the letter J because James Dolan.
Oh my God. Dolan is
Apologize to anyone with the letter J name, but like you can't own a sports team. I'm sorry.
he's a weird one, Dolan. Like, he has a good team.
Dolan's, Dolan's weird because he wants to win. He just doesn't know when to step back.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing you have to give like respect Dolan for is he will give money out for the Knicks and the Rangers to be good. It's just he is a little weasel and meddles in places where he shouldn't. And he has all he's a public relations nightmare with like throwing fans out of the garden, threatening to not sell alcohol at MSG anymore. He just creates so many distractions. Like, dude, shut up.
Wait, so New York, we have James Dolan, John Mara. Who's the Nets
Johnson.
owner?
Owner is was Jay-Z. It's not him anymore.
Wait, who's the third guy that you mentioned?
Woody Johnson, the guy who owns the Jets.
Where New York is literally filled with Jays.
Joseph Tassi is the Nets owner. He's from founder of Albaba.
So why is New York filled with Jays, bro?
It's just Steve Cohen.
Oh, that's why the Mets are having success. Well, who's the Mets owner? Oh, Stein. No.
No, Steinbrenner is the Yankees. Steve Cohen.
Okay, so Mets is Cohen, Yankees is Stein. Okay.
Steinbrenner, yeah. But Hal Steinbrenner, George's son. George was better than Hal. Hal's a moron.
What did Hal do?
Hal just does it like George Steinbrenner would say if I don't win the World Series, it's a failure, and would just spend whatever it took to get that World Series. Hal Steinbrenner is more focused on a budget and won't take the extra step that George would to go get a World Series.
Good to know.
That's a lot of Yankee fans are upset because like your dad is George Steinbrenner, and you're nothing like him.
They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, see, like that, like they're in the playoffs, but that's good enough for the Yankees. Like, when's the last time the Yankees won World? The Yankees won one World Series since the turn of the century. They won two. They won, 25 in the 1900s.
Yeah, good point. Well, we'll talk some MLB later on. I'm sure you're a bit upset, but hey,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll talk about it. We move on. Oh no, actually, real quick before we go to the Giants, Jamal Adams. By the way, speaking about a possible Jets reunion, the first step of that has been completed as the Tennessee Titans released Jamal Adams this morning. Yeah. First
Retire.
off,
Just
I
retire.
like to, I think I'm honest. I feel like a lot in life. I think, especially when it comes to sports. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I suck. I'm trying to see if I can find the clip, but I was like, the Titans are gonna be contenders. They got a defense. Jamal Adams, what's his name? Jeffrey Simmons, Kenneth Murray, L'Jarius Sneed,
Nope.
Nope. And
You
Jamal
said they're
Adams,
one of the worst teams in the leagues.
yeah, they got the Bills this week too.
Oof. You know, Tennessee? Don't watch this week.
Yeah,
Go to Nashville, go out to the bars, and watch real football.
there is plenty of other options. Good. What's it called? Good
Tennessee.
foreshadowing. Yeah, good foreshadowing. By the way, for our game of the week. But yeah, I just thought like Will Levis would like develop. You have 3 good receivers and Hopkins and Boyd and Ridley, an O line that's kind of young but it has promise. Pollard and Spears in the backfield, a solid defense on paper. But yeah, Will Levis continues to be meme worthy. Not to shy away from the main topic, which is Jamal Adams, but the fact that Levis has created a meme for himself these past 6 weeks. For 6
It's
weeks,
bad.
he sent a ball. He got what's it called? He got a ball boy carted off the field. That's what you know things are bad.
I hear it about in a hearse.
What's up the week?
Oh
before,
my god!
What's it called? The week before, what was it? What's it called? What did he do the week before?
Something stupid.
Oh, when he got hurt and then Mason Rudolph came in, but we could see Levis like grimacing in pain, but it was like it looked wrong on paper. Basically, I'll try to.
He's like it looks like an actor who's bad at acting trying to act hurt.
Yeah,
He's clearly acting.
Yeah, he's terrible. I wanted to see what meme he makes this week, but in terms of Jamal Adams,
Get any predictions of what Levis does this week? I think he hits a cheerleader in the head with the ball.
Either that or I don't know. Triple coverage.
Could you imagine that would be like an all-time NFL? That's up there with Pam Oliver getting hit in the head with a football. If just Will Levis just fires a ball and just nails a cheerleader.
I remember
it's the Brady Bunch scene, which he's clipped. Wow, my nose!
His season just gets worse and worse. Like his play on the field was bad enough. Yeah, his meme stuff
like that. Field, like I might be like, hey, the Giants, like let's sign him. Let's get some funny stuff in here. If we're gonna be bad, let's at least be entertaining.
Yeah, at least we'll be bad funny at least. Like
I remember before the Knicks like got Jalen Brunson, all them, I like completely given up on them. I'm like, go get Lonzo Ball, go get LiAngelo, and draft LaMelo and give LeVar courtside seats. Like we're gonna be bad. Let's just at least be funny. Like let's just have it just be like a Lonzo LeVar comedy show out there. MSG. I watch every night.
I will say, speaking of Lonzo, he was back last night for the first time in 2 years. Scored 10 points in 15 minutes. He basically filled the whole stat sheet. get 10 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, no turnovers. Very proud of him. He is my favorite NBA player of all time, which is saying something because I fell in love with Kobe. But yeah, Lonzo is back after 2 years. A lot of injuries in his career. Basically, got a whole new meniscus this past off season, and he looks good. He looks better. He will be limited to start the year in terms of usually we don't talk basketball, but for me, Lonzo, he means a lot. He was like ever since he left or he came out of UCLA, got drafted by the Lakers. He's been my favorite. To me, he's a player that I admire for sure. Just his style of play and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, not the best point guard in the league.
If he didn't have his dad with him in his rookie year, he does not get the hate he does.
Oh, 1,000%. And it's like I commend LeVar a lot. I mean,
yeah, he's just capitalizing on a business up. He's like, all right, my son is going to be a Laker, star at UCLA. I'm going to capitalize on this. It's business.
I mean, he did get all of his sons in the NBA, technically. LiAngelo, G League.
LiAngelo is more famous for getting arrested in China.
Still the craziest thing. I still can't believe.
Oh my god!
Come on, like he's rich, bro. Why are you still sunglasses for? Like, there's no need for that.
Don't steal. Like, I don't understand these athletes. When you go to a different country, don't do anything that you wouldn't do here.
Yeah, because
same thing with Brittany Griner. Like, weed is illegal in Russia. Don't bring weed to Russia.
Was it weed or was it
It's a dad pen, so it's weed.
Oh. Well, hey, see, that just shows my lack of knowledge.
Don't do stupid things in other countries. Other countries have different laws than we do.
Who got Griner out of Russia? Was it Trump? Biden.
Biden gave him the Merchant of Death. It was the funniest Twitter reaction of all time.
Hell of a trade.
It was just like the U.S. it's like we're not even getting any first-round picks back. That was the best comment ever. The first comment underneath it, we didn't even get a first.
In NFL terms, it'd basically be, I'm trying to think, Mason Rudolph for Patrick Mahomes.
In terms of like criminal stuff, yeah, because when you have someone who's arrested for having marijuana on them compared to the Merchant of Death,
like that
dealer,
from the name alone, Merchant of Death, that's already a red flag. And
name, like, bro, could you imagine being the Merchant of Death? Bro, that's some mob type stuff. No one's messing with you.
Oh my god. No,
we're off the rails. Let's just get Jamal Adams got cut. He's
good for him.
Gonna retire. Maybe he goes back to the Jets, but I doubt the Jets want him.
Tony Snaps played this season. He was placed on the non-football injury list this past Saturday for God knows what. Or why, I should say. The most snaps he played was 17 against the Dolphins when they were already winning by a lot. Played one snap this past week, I should say, and that was kind of just enough for him to just lose it and want his released. I think today's his birthday as well, so he got his birthday wish.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! You're not gonna be here no more. I mean, it was mutual.
You're unemployed.
It was mutual, anyways. Yeah. So I mean, I guess
he want to be there. So. Maybe he'll probably ring chase and he'll wind up on the Bills or on the Chiefs at some point, play out the season and retire.
Possibly the Jets. Go back home to where.
Yeah, I could see that, but I think there's a lot of hurt feelings between him and the Jets.
That
Seattle trade, because I remember he was demanding a trade and stuff like that. I think the relationship's fractured there.
Yeah, same owner still there.
With everything going around, you really want to bring Jamal Adams back right now? It's just not gonna. I just don't think it fits the locker room.
Well, it's probably gonna sign with the Chiefs or something. Anyways, our Giants, yay!
week is all about making Saquon Barkley look like a moron.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you saw the interview, he goes, I might be naive, but I don't think Giant fans are going to boo when I return. I burned your jersey. When I found out you left the Giants, I used your jersey as a doormat. That's how upset I was with you. That jersey was dumped with alcohol, spit, ash. Everything was on that jersey. We threw everything on it, and then we lit it on fire. A fire extinguisher was put out on it one time. That was an accident.
Was it like the regular home jersey? Was it an away jersey? Was it a color rush?
Jersey. It was the home jersey. It was the regular blue home jersey. I bought it right after we drafted him. I had it for 6 years he was here, and then he left, and then bye-bye.
If he didn't go to Philly, would you still burn it?
I would have it still.
Oh, because he's in Philly.
If he would have gone to Philly, Dallas, I would have burnt it. And if he really went anywhere else, I really wouldn't have cared.
Washington?
Washington is 50-50. I don't think I would have worn it anymore, but I would have kept it. Because, we're division rivals, but, I just hate Philly and Dallas more than Washington. I've never, maybe it's because, we've never been good at the same time, never competed. I'm not around Washington fans like we are Philly and Dallas, but, I just never felt like a rivalry with them that I have with the other two.
Well, I have a Saquon shirt. I have a Funko Pop. What do I have? Yeah, I think I have his jersey somewhere. I'll have the color rush jersey. No, no, not the color rush. The blue throwback one.
Oh, the Legacy jersey?
Legacy, not throwback. Freaking, it's called Legacy. You're right.
Sweet jerseys.
Um,
He goes, yeah, when Saquon said that, I'm like, no, Giants fans are going to boo you. There might be, it's going to be funny because they're going to give him a touching tribute and the camera's going to pan to him and there's going to be 25% of the crowd that, gives him some clapping and stuff. And then 75% is just going to rain boos down on you. If I wasn't working, I'd be at that game ready to boo him.
Mayor's going to be there, isn't he?
Mayor's always there.
Yeah, but in terms of they're gonna show the camera on him.
Oh, that. Yeah.
You're like, Mayor, Mr. Saquon Barkley.
Welcome back, Saquon Barkley.
First snap. I'm telling you, first snap of the game. There's gonna be a lot of boos. Once Saquon touches.
It's Dexter Lawrence wrapping up Saquon Barkley. It's gonna be the loudest that stadium has gotten.
Dude, I'm excited. I really hope. I hope we win. But as we know, we don't beat the Eagles, unfortunately.
We don't.
Yeah, but let's look at their statistics. They're 10th in yards per game, so that says something in terms of their offense. They're 14th in passing, but 6th in rushing with 146.2 rushing yards per game. Points wise, they are average 21.2, which is 18th best. Defensively is where their biggest concern is. They allow 341.4 yards per game, which is 20th in the league. Their best part of their defense is, they allow 22.4 points per game, which is still basically the defense is just average as a whole. Their weakness is their secondary, though. They do allow 218 passing yards per game, which is 11th the worst in the league, which is not crazy bad, but it's still bad. Jalen Hurts has looked mediocre so far this season. 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year. Saquon Barkley did miss a game. Did he miss a game? No, I'm tripping.
I don't think he missed a game, but he's been hot and cold in games.
There you go. That's what it was.
On fire, and other games was just
yeah. 482 rushing yards in the year, 4 touchdowns. AJ Brown and Davante Smith have been dealing with injuries recently, but they both have solid receiving numbers as well. I do think the main concern for me is the fact that their wins have all been within 5 points. That's not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. You can still make the playoffs. Just look at the 2022 Vikings and the Giants. Winning a lot of games by 1 score. But I think
1 and 1 point games that year.
Mm-hmm.
They were insane.
Yeah, but I think to me there's a kind of a standard if that makes sense when it comes to Philadelphia. Because the Vikings, no one expected them to do as well as they did in 2022 based off those one-score games. The Giants the same way. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles here. This is a team that
Football
has been
aspirations.
known. Yeah, like they're a good team. Like a good teams don't always depend on nail-biting games where they survive within 5 points. I mean, they beat the Packers 34-29 in Brazil. They barely beat the Saints by 3, 15-12. They barely beat the Browns
That's a
26
game
to
the Saints lost, not the Eagles won. The Saints were in
Mhm,
control of that game the entire time until they let Saquon break off for that run.
mhm. And then Tampa beat the heck out of them 33-16.
They were struggling against the Browns. Like, don't let that final score fool you. Like, they were struggling in that game.
Mhm. Like, they barely escaped. And then you had Sirianni yelling at the fans, which made no sense. But hey,
Then
that's
he apologizes and brings his kids to the press conference to
yeah,
let
that
him deflect any hard questions. Like, don't use your kids as shields, dude. It's such a loser move.
So I think that just begs the question, as we always talk about with every Giant preview, what are the keys, in your opinion, to the Giants possibly surviving and winning this game? And your thoughts on the Eagles, I'm sure that you have as well.
Well, I said this the past few weeks that we're catching the Eagles at the best time, and that has bitten me a few times. Like I said about Dallas, we lost Dallas. Said about the Bengals, we lost to the Bengals. With all the off the field stuff and the not impressive win against Cleveland, like, oh, we're catching the Eagles at the best time. Now, with that in mind, we'll probably end up losing. But no, it's very simple. The keys to win is the secondary has to contain a healthy Devontae Smith and a healthy A.J. Brown. I think this is probably their biggest test of the season because when those two are going, it's very hard to find a better 1-2 punch in the league. But if Banks and Phillips can stop them and pass rushing continue to get to Hurts and make him scramble and be lost, the Giants have a real good shot at winning this game. And if the offense can just play, I want to say they play like they did against, like they did against Seattle. That's not happening. That was a fluke. But if they can do what they did against the Commanders and do it against Cleveland, that's where they can win this game. And Neighbors is back.
I think Neighbors is, what was it? I think yesterday he was in a red jersey.
I
Don't know if
thought
there's a,
this morning he's going to play.
yes, let's go. Glad to have him back. Much needed to, because the offense could use him. Because
Yeah.
7 points on us on Sunday night. Crazy. Uh yeah, I mean, the focal point for this week is just Saquon Barkley. I think everything else aside, that's the main focus of this week. As long as he doesn't get hot and we just have to force Jalen to throw the football to beat us, I think we're gonna be just fine because especially last week and the week before, the Eagles they've ran more than they've thrown. And that is the key to their success. That is their
Yeah.
identity. When you have Saquon, you have Jalen Hurts, two solid, capable running options. There you go. Um, I just respectfully saying Hurts is really not known for his arm. Like
No.
if you're gonna beat the Eagles, you have to force him to throw. And if you lose to him by throwing, great.
Hey,
Just don't
that's what we had to do.
Yeah, just don't let him beat you with his legs because him along with Saquon Barkley in the rushing game, that is lethal. I think the two of them had like
And don't let the
27.
Eagles get to these short, like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, because you're going to be tush push for 2 plays.
Mhm.
Take that tush push out.
And they're gonna convert, and it's hard to stop that. And it obviously hurts that the Giants don't have Kayvon Thibodeau, but if the Giants can play like they did on Sunday night when they had Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Ojulari go off, this game will be closer than many of us think will be. And then if that happens, it just depends on this offense to um, kind of just take care of this Eagles defense, which
It was
hasn't
an
looked that great.
average offense. I think the Giants are favorites in this game, which is how
Hmm.
the Eagles are like what happens with the Eagles, how they're struggling with everything going on, and how well the Giants defense has been, there will be an easier path. But like, I just can't trust Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's the
I'm not buying
literally
into
one
it.
thing. No, literally one thing is, and I mean, I'm glad Malik's coming back, which will help his cause. It's just what we've seen from him is inconsistency. If he plays well, great. Are we going to be surprised? Possibly, but if he plays bad, it's going to be just the same feeling heading into next week when we have the show again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this inconsistency is just so bothersome to like we.
Have you seen the rumor floating around, and like a lot of Giants fans are in on this? Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
I'm not for that.
don't know why. I make sense. I just don't.
I just let them pick their guy. Don't Matt Stafford.
Let's see. What's up, Hood Rich? Appreciate you. It says it could be best case scenario to considering they haven't had all of the receivers healthy. Teams will stack the box, which will open up one-on-one for them. Oh, Philly. Got it. Let's just call it what it is. People thought the Giants where it would be way worse, how they can be any team. Yeah. The Cowboys are this year's, which you think the Giants would be. Oh, got it. So he's basically saying what we thought the Giants were going to be this year is what Dallas is. And
Okay.
okay. Got it. I appreciate you, Hood Rich, by the way. Thank you for your support, Hood Rich. Yeah, stacking the box against Saquon and just let's see if our corners can deal with Brown and Smith. Banks would be it's gonna be like he'll rotate between Brown and Smith.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be one guy on one guy. I think it's gonna depend on the play and the package. We're gonna see guys moving around and stuff.
You notice how Adore isn't playing as much?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
They put him in like at random moments.
I think they just want to put the young guys out there at this point. I think like there's some like, all right, this team isn't going to compete this year. Like, let's get the young guys some development and see what we have to do in the offseason. They'll never admit that out loud, but I think Joe Shane and Brian Dable are smart enough to see the writing on the wall and be like, okay, we're not pushing all in for this team. This team isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl. Let's see what we have and then take stock of it going into the offseason, which sucks that it's week 6 and we're thinking like this.
Yeah,
Things happening.
2-4. So being 500 isn't out of the question. I mean, they could have been 500 if they won Sunday night. Deontay Banks is a good corner. I mean, there's moments
good,
where
but he's also not taking the steps I wanted him to take this year. Like I was expecting him to be a lockdown this year corner, and like he's just kind of the same as he was last year, which wasn't bad, but like it's also like I need to see steps forward from you.
Mm-hmm. Like there's times where he's cornerback number 1, and there's other times where he's
lost out. Yeah, it's just like it's inconsistency, which I think is a big word around this Giants team right now. And like Coughlin again, Coughlin preached finish. We have not seen that from this Giants team yet.
So hopefully we do see the good Banks show up against Brown and Smith on Sunday, and then hopefully Andrew Phillips plays well, and then either McLeod or Cordell Flott handles the opposite side of Banks on the outside. So we'll see what happens there. Andrew Thomas. I know I forgot. Not that I forgot.
Andrew Thomas, that's a big one. How's his offense going to do without him?
It took this long for us to even mention him. Well, turns out he got hurt and played the rest of the game with a foot injury that was serious than we thought, or more serious, I should say. It required Lisfranc surgery, which means he's out, but should be ready for OTAs next year. But yeah.
This is a crushing blow.
This was our biggest fear. One of our biggest fears is this offensive line not all 5 guys surviving the season. This is the first domino to fall. So now, I swear.
It stinks. As we've all seen the numbers on X and Instagram. They're bad. There is a complete drop off when Andrew Thomas is not on that field, and we're gonna have to see, is Daniel Jones comfortable enough with this offensive line, and has Joe Shane made the right adjustment with the line that losing Andrew Thomas is gonna stink, but can they tread water? Which I don't know, because Thomas is one of the best lines in football. And you have to now be concerned with Thomas because this is the second year he's had a major injury like this.
He's played in 18 games out of a possible 30 plus since he signed that extension.
Yeah, like that's not good. Like if we need you, if you're gonna be the best left tackle in the league, a franchise left tackle, you got to be out there. You can't. I know injuries are happening. I know stuff happens. I'm not bad he got hurt. I'm just saying it's concerning.
Who are you putting at left tackle?
Not Evan Neal. Right now, I saw what they were doing at camp. I sent it to my cousins. Hang on, I got pulled up that. Yeah, so it's Josh Zudu at left tackle and Jeremiah Luminor. Yeah, I do a Zudu and Luminor, I think. I don't think this team has any trust in Evan Neal right now. I think he's a cut waiting to happen.
I
would love to get Neal a chance out there, but I just don't think, like, Thomas got down, all our minds immediately went to Evan Neal. But you know whose mind didn't? The coaching staff. That says a lot. That Evan Neal should be taking first team reps with the team right now, and he's not. That shows to me that this coaching staff is done with Evan Neal. Whether it's in practice or off the field, or he's just not progressing the way they think he can. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and he gets playing time, and he proves he's made improvements. But if Josh Ziti is getting first team reps over you, that's a big sign to me that you're not getting looks.
I know Jones. If I just know it, he's not going to trust that left side unless Illuminar's over there, which I don't think they're not going to move Illuminar from right to left. I know Jones. He will be scared. I don't know. It's hard to explain how he's going to show that he's scared, but he's not going to trust his blind side if Azudu's on that side, because we've seen
quick passes, forcing balls to places, just going down. Like that's what it's going to be. Look like a rookie out there again.
It's going to be the same crap, different day. I swear, I know it. Yeah, I mean, injury report wise, yeah. So Andrew Thomas was the main injury, but in terms of the rest of the guys on the injury report, Brian Burns didn't practice on Wednesday, along with Gillian, Lawrence, and Thomas for obvious reasons. Bryce Ford Wheaton, Neighbors, Wandale, Singletary, and Slane were limited. But in terms of the guys that were limited, they should all be ready to go. No concerns there. I think so Malik Neighbors is mostly like the main concern in terms of the guys.
Yeah, because concussions are so weird. Like you don't want to rush guys back for them. That's the main concern with that.
But he should play. But in terms of the Eagles, though, Dallas Goedert hamstring injury, Mailata hamstring, Darius Slay was limited. But I don't think any concerns there. I think the Eagles should be ready to go. I don't think there's any concerns with the Eagles in terms of it. Probably just resting up and
exactly. Just get the guys ready. Yeah, exactly. So it's concerning. It's there's no hope going into this week. Like there was hope against Dallas. There was hope against the Bengals. That maybe we can pull off the upset. That hope is gone right now. It just feels like we're marching towards a loss. And like the only thing we can do as Giants fans is try to rattle Saquon Barkley.
And maybe they'll surprise us. And if they do, great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Awesome if they surprise us and beat the Eagles. I just, if I have to be a realist, I just can't picture that world.
Just Jones doesn't beat the Eagles, I guess.
No, he doesn't. It's the one Eli didn't beat the Eagles and Jones didn't beat the Eagles. Like, that's going to be our first requirement for the next quarterback. Can you beat the Philadelphia Eagles, sir? Good? Okay, you're in starting quarterback.
Like Tyrod. Tyrod beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, see. So, okay. Well, let's move on to more happier topics, huh?
Get Drew Lock out there. He beat the Eagles. He beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
How crazy
No.
would that be? Just Brian Dable just drops a bomb on us Friday. Be like, guess what? Drew Lock starting.
If he starts, I'll put an emergency show. God, I hate this team. Every single week I deal with this shit.
Good. Like, can we at least just like get to a point where it's fun covering this team and not just be like a chore?
Have you had these before?
Yeah, I've had Celsius before.
Solid.
They got me ready for a few classes sometimes.
I needed it today. I'll tell you that much. You know what does need this though? Our games of the week, because they're fun and they actually bring us energy, unlike some teams, the Giants. So this will be a new segment every week. We will have 2 games of the week, one for college, one for the NFL. And this week for college, it is the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, why is this the game of the week? Well, for obvious reasons. The Crimson Tide, under Kalen DeBoer. Yes, I said his name right, I think.
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it.
They're good until, well,
Past couple weeks, not looking great.
Vanderbilt, though, really?
Yeah, and like Vanderbilt is good now. Like they had a good win against South Carolina a few weeks ago. They had a good win last week. That quarterback seems like just a great guy to have, just an all-time vibes guy. So like they had built a pretty decent program there, but it's kind of like losing. It's kind of like when Baker Mayfield came to the Browns and like the Browns started beating teams. It's like, oh, you lost to the Browns. Like it's not the same Browns as the 0-16 Browns. Like Vanderbilt just has that like that stank on them that like can't get washed away. It looks worse than it actually was, but it's still a bad loss. When you're the number 1 team in the country and you lose to an unranked team, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. You know, for Bama, yeah, like you mentioned, they lost to Vanderbilt. They barely survived South Carolina this past weekend.
South Carolina's a better quarterback. We're looking at Bama coming into this down 2 games because there were a few. It was the bad 2-point conversion throw. It was the interception after they got the onside kick recovery. Like South Carolina's a quarterback away from winning that game.
And like Milbrow, of course, he's going to be in the NFL draft this upcoming offseason, but he does have concerns. I do want him as a possible franchise quarterback for this Giants team, but there are major concerns with him. He is he's more of a rushing threat. He still needs to work on his arm and everything like that. But we've seen him; he's not the greatest.
He's also really inconsistent too. Like he had a really good game against Georgia and then a really bad game against Vandy. It's just like we can't judge it all off the Georgia game. You have to watch the entire tape. And like he does have those bad moments. Like my buddy's a huge Alabama fan, and me and my other buddy would like joke with him, like, hey, like, how does it feel to have a running back at quarterback? Because that's all Jalen Milroe was. Like you just run the Wildcat every single play with him. Now, he has made improvements as a passer, but not to the point where I feel comfortable with him as a, franchise quarterback throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game.
Yeah. But yeah, for the Volunteers though, they are the yeah.
They came in with all the hype. There's a great defense. The quarterback Nico looked like a Heisman candidate first couple weeks of the season. Dropped the game. I think they dropped the game to Arkansas, I want to say. Tennessee football. Yeah, so they dropped the game to Arkansas, and then they just barely survive against Florida, a team that is going to fire Billy Napier at the end of the year. So this is really like a test for both these two teams. Like this is a must win for both to kind of save their season. Like it's elimination time, because if you have these 2 losses and it looks bad, like he's not going to put you in. They're not. Like a bad loss to Vandy and a loss to either a good Tennessee team, or a loss to a bad Arkansas team and a loss to a ranked Alabama team, not going to look great.
Tennessee started the year 3-0. Now you're probably wondering who they beat to be 3-0. Well, I'll tell you, not the best teams in life. They beat Chattanooga, NC State, and Kent State.
And Kent State can't beat anybody this year. Kent State's horrible.
Really? How bad are they? Oh God. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like
Guess who I'm
oh,
rebuilding next? I'm just
there you go. Rebuild Kent State. Yeah, I mean
rebuild
Mac. The
Kansas.
Mac is fun to play in. Playing in the Mac is fun. So there is that.
Yeah, you had a point. But when SEC play began for the Volunteers, that's when they kind of struggled. They barely beat Oklahoma by 10, lost to Arkansas, like you mentioned, and they barely beat Florida by 6. So this is a good chance for Bama to kind of get back on track. And Tennessee is ranked 11th, so any ranked win is a good win.
Tennessee to get back on track. They can get a ranked win against Bama. It's like, oh, okay. Like, let's see what this team actually has here.
Basically, a win for either for either team will be a good thing in terms of their ranking on the poll, on the AP poll and whatnot. But in terms of this matchup, I think Alabama's defense definitely has the advantage. They
Yeah.
have 5 of their 7
Freshman
best,
quarterback too.
5 of their 7 best players on Bama's defense. They're really good. Their pass rush is dominating for sure, and plus Ema Lieva's stats under pressure are bad. It's like 4.7 yards per attempt. When when he's even kept cleaning the pocket, he still has 2 interceptions on the year.
Yeah.
So
that's a freshman quarterback for you. It's a lot like a
yeah.
rookie quarterback. It's just like they're still used to high school ball and they're still trying to make, it's a major jump from high school ball to SEC football, especially if you're playing a school like Bama.
Bama is favored by 3. With that being said, give me the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I think I'll lean Crimson Tide because they kind of have Tennessee's number. I think Tennessee's only beat them once in the past decade, so I think it'll be a point where Tennessee is winning late in the game, but I think Bama will
pull it off some way somehow. So
yeah, Brian Williams to do something stupid or something like that.
17 years old. When I was 17,
Yeah,
I was a backup to the backup.
I just played Madden all the time.
You didn't play football?
No, I didn't play football.
Would you have if you could back? If you could go back in
Yeah,
time?
I would definitely play football. If I could go back in time.
What position?
Probably wide receiver or safety.
How tall are you again?
6'2".
Okay then.
Mm-hmm. Moving on.
What the fuck, bro? What are you doing on this podcast? Go play sports.
Oh, I am not athletic.
You're 6'2".
Yeah, I'm not good at. I'm not good at anything.
Were you 6? Did you once you like get to 60, like high school?
Always tall.
Always tall.
Always tall. Yeah.
Well, I'm 5'6". Anyways, that's fucking new to learn. The NFL game of the week is between the Packers and the Houston Texans. Jordan Love and this Packers team they look great. I mean, this team just continues.
This is a potential Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah.
Within the next 5 years, I think it's almost a lock that one of these two teams gets a Super Bowl.
Who's closer? Houston?
I think Houston's closer, but the Packers have an easier path. I think the Packers could get there first. Like, if you look at Houston's a better team.
NFC is weaker.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're the Packers, you go up against the Niners, so you've already proven you can beat. The Lions are the other team that's kind of like hard, but like the AFC, it's the Chiefs who are a dynasty right now.
Bills.
Ravens, exactly. Like, there's a lot. Bengals are. I know the Bengals aren't good this year, but like they're sneaky. Okay, the Chargers are looking better. You got the Broncos are kind of trying to rebuild. There's a lot of good. There's a more talent in the AFC than there is the NFC right now.
If I'm Green Bay, the only team that scares me,
I think it's Detroit.
Yes, it's literally the division rivals.
Because yeah, the Niners are a really good team, but like you went into Levi last year and beat them. Like you could beat that team, and you've proven your entire,
And they're not as good this year.
you almost beat them. Like you can hang with them.
The Niners are 3-3. They are beatable. They're not that good this year. Now, will they turn it up? We'll see. But they're not as great this year. No one scares me in the East if I'm the Packers. North? No, I mean they're in the North. The South? Oh, no. Tampa? Come on.
They're like the only. I think the Falcons are scarier than Tampa. I think the Falcons' offense has more chance to be exposed. I think both offenses are really good.
Captain Kirk.
And then you got Judon on the Falcons, who's just an absolute game wrecker if he can get going.
Is Kyle Pitts back in terms of like production wise?
I don't think so. I think he's having a really quiet year again.
He
He might see a change of scenery, I think.
Mm,
Kyle Pitts, he's got 18 catches, 263 yards, and a tutty. Crazy.
bust.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call him a bust yet because I really do because I think Arthur Blank was so bad with him and like he just doesn't fit that scheme for them. I think he just needs to just go somewhere else, clear his head, and just go from there.
We could use him.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking him. Give him a Bellinger and some picks.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Johnson and Pitts.
Pitts do double tight end with those guys.
Not a bad idea. But yeah, in terms of this game though, Green Bay and Houston. I mean, the Texans don't have Nico Collins for the next few weeks. He's on IR with an injury, so it's mostly just Stefon and Tank Dell.
Which is a pretty good, backup.
Yeah. Plus,
I know Nico Collins was on pace for 2,000 yards, but like if your replacement is Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell, like I don't really feel like, oh yeah, it sucks we lost them, but like the impact isn't going to be that big.
Mm-hmm. Plus, Mixon's back too for Houston.
Yeah, he looked pretty good against the Patriots. I know it's the Patriots, but like we had a nagging ankle injury and put up almost 100 yards. Like you're doing fine.
First game back, 100 plus yards, 2 touchdowns. We'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game's in Houston, but I'm gonna go Green Bay.
I think I'm gonna go Houston. I think they'll pull it off.
Yeah, I just believe this pack when healthy, especially Christian Watson looked really good this past week. You could call it a breakout game if you wanted to, but he just played really well in general. Him, Dobbs, Jaden Reed, those 3 guys aren't number 1 wide receiver material, but combined they have the production of a wide receiver number 1, which is great to have. Especially Jaden Reed, he's like a gadget low key type of guy, but he's a player. He's a productive guy, for sure. So we'll see. Jordan Love, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, I think he will be okay. And then Josh Jacobs as well in the backfield. Can't forget about him as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move on to college football, or back to college football. With your Fighting Irish. You guys have the Yellow Jackets.
In Mercedes Benz. Ironically enough, going back to the Falcons neutral site game.
Oh, they don't have their own field. I was like, shh.
Does have their own field, but for some reason they play games there, like big games like this. They'll go play it over there. Weird.
All right. Well, what do we need to know?
I don't know much about it, but they're saying it might not be able to hold the crowd and stuff. But say whatever you want about Notre Dame, but when Notre Dame comes to town, like there's a buzz, there's an interest. There's going to be more tickets sold than like when you're playing, Wake Forest.
Okay. So what do we need to know about this game between the Irish and the Yellow Jackets?
The big thing for the Irish, there's two things. One is stopping the run. The is very, very big with their run game. They run a lot. Their running back has been electric the past 2 games. So if that, front 7 can hold them and force a quarterback to throw, that's a recipe for, a victory for the Irish. But at the same time, we need to see what this Irish secondary now looks like because, as mentioned, Ben Morrison, top corner in the country right now, projected top 10 pick in the NFL draft, top 15, out with a hip injury. Like, that's a major blow. And we need to see how this team can respond. I like the depth on this team, but, when you lose a guy of that importance, sometimes it doesn't matter how good your depth is. It's just a massive blow, and it's a confidence to Georgia Tech that, hey, maybe we can look to pass the ball more because their secondary is missing one of the most important pieces. And then on the flip side for the offense, the Irish have had this, talk about them passing the ball. I want to see them run it this week. Georgia Tech does not have a great run defense. I think this is a great time to get the ball to Love, Pierce, and Leonard, and just have them run all over that team. Like, this is a game where you can run the ball and get wins because if you're stopping Georgia Tech from running it, you're fine. So I think the Irish win this game. I think it's going to be a little close. Give me the Irish 24-17.
Okay. You brought a good point about the run defense of Georgia Tech. They allowed 201 yards rushing to the Tar Heels last week. So, but yeah, as much as they allow rushing yards, they are a good running team. The Yellow Jackets are led by Jamal Haynes and quarterback Haynes King with 536 and 353 yards rushing, respectively, so far this season for those two guys. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Georgia Tech 224 passing yards allowed to opposing offenses, but the run defense is very leaky. So we'll see if the Irish can capitalize on that and get a win in
Which
Georgia.
you should be able to because, like, the run has been this offense's identity.
Yeah.
The NIU game.
That's Leonard's specialty.
Bread and butter. Love is, like, going to be an amazing player. He's only a sophomore, so he's got a few more years. Like, I'm excited to watch him. Him and Pierce have created a dynamic 1-2 punch in his offense. Like, this is going to be a big week for the Irish run game, and which is what they want to do. This is what they want to do. They want to be a team which identity is running that football.
All righty. So you're not too worried about him at all?
No, I'm not too worried. I mean, like, I'm worried for every game because of NIU. Like, I'm just scarred from that. And, like, Marcus Freeman has come up short in big games, like Marshall and Stanford a few years ago. So there's always that worry in my head that Notre Dame can drop a game they're supposed to win. But, like, I feel like there's a 75% chance of getting this thing done.
Okay. Well, we move from one team that you're not too worried about to a team that you are and should be worried about for obvious reasons, right? Because they are in the postseason. The New York Mets. Last time we spoke, they were tied up 1-1.
What did I say? What did I say about the Mets on Tuesday? I said the keys was getting out to a big lead and getting the crowd into it. What did the Mets not do last night?
Not get out to a big lead and not get the crowd into it.
And then the Dodgers jumped out early, 2-0 lead. And I know, like, I was worried because I'm like, this team has been so magical. They've given me a reason not to worry. But when Kike Hernandez hit that home run in, like, the 7th inning, I want to say, it felt over at that point. Like, I don't know what it was, and then Shohei just put a nail in our coffin with the 7-0. But it just really felt like, oh, okay, these are the Dodgers. And I was driving home last night listening to the game, and I think it was Keith Rad on radio. He made a very great point about this Dodgers team is that they take pitches. They're not like the Brewers and Phillies where they're more aggressive at the plate. They'll swing at anything. The Dodgers are very meticulous. Like, they have great hitters like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, but they're also not afraid to draw walks. They're going to sit up there and let the pitches come to them, which has been hurting the Mets because they've been, kind of trying to paint the corners and not getting the call. So it's a lot of walks, and the defense has been spotty all series. So that's a recipe for disaster. So if the Mets want to get back into this, they have to limit the walks, and they have to play better on defense. And the offense has to wake up. Like, we need the offense for the first 3 innings of Game 2, not what we saw in Game 1, and not what we've seen in the past 13 innings.
Yeah, 8-0 was the score last night. Yeah, you guys need to win tonight because if you guys don't, you guys will be down 3-1.
I thought this is a must-win game for the Mets because if like I wanted to go back to LA needing one. I wanted to take 2 or 3 at Citi Field, right? So I was penciling a loss in. So if last night was that loss, we'll move on. You have to win game 4 and you have to win game 5. You cannot go back to Los Angeles with the Dodgers needing one game. All right? That's and in game 5 right now, we don't really know who's gonna be on the mound. Like I have no confidence in putting Kodai Senga out there again. All right. We saw it in game 1. He could not find that strike zone. I think he threw 30 balls to 10 strikes. That set the tone for the entire game and kind of set the tone for the series that the Mets are just not able to hang in there with the Dodgers. Like, I don't think he should be out there. I guess you go David Peterson, but again, Peterson hasn't pitched, more than 3 innings since the regular season ended. So, like, you take out your best bullpen piece to start, like, it's kind of hard.
Just the important thing is just getting through tonight.
Yeah, just win game 4, and then if you don't win game 4, at least send the series back to LA. Don't let them celebrate in your field.
Mm-hmm. Dodgers will be rolling with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Mets will be rolling out Jose Quintana for game 4. So we'll see what happens.
And like I will say, like I'm gonna be like, let's just say the Mets lose this series, I will be devastated. But like I can't be mad at them because they are so much farther along than they should ever be. Like if you would have told me back in May the Mets would be 3 wins away from a World Series appearance, I would have laughed in your face. Like I really would have. Like what this team has done is magical. It's some of the most fun I've had watching baseball. And I'm gonna write a whole like eulogy when this season is over and say all that. But like, let's say the Mets lose this weekend and you expect me on Tuesday to come in here ranting and raving like I have in the past. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna just be like, it stinks, but hey, this team has got a bright future and we shouldn't have been there to begin with.
You made it farther than the Phillies and the Braves this year.
Exactly.
See?
Then we're on the full-on Yankee hate at that point.
Yeah, the Yankees are up 2 on Guardians. So we'll see what happens.
That's the Yankees won that series. It's going to be Yankees and whoever wins this Mets-Dodgers series.
Hell of a season, though, by the Guardians.
Yeah, great season for them. They just ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah. Stephen Vogt, though, definitely manager of the year, in my opinion.
For AL, yeah.
Yeah, but...
It's Vogt and Mendoza are the managers of the years.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I know you could say Pat Murphy for the Brewers, but, like, Mendoza being a first-year manager, like, I know he was, but he was a bench coach for years with the Brewers, so he knew that organization. Like, Mendoza's in a new organization, first-time manager. The team was dead and brought them back to life. But you can criticize him for some of his stuff. I think he overmanages at certain points, but he's still a good manager, and I think he's the right choice for this Mets team going forward. I think he's the manager for whenever this Mets team gets rolling and is a constant playoff threat, which I think is coming. He's the guy I want at the helm.
Yeah, he's very positive.
Yeah, he knows how to lead that locker room, and he can play the chess game, which I think is nice.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens tonight. Hopefully, Mets win this one, win tomorrow as well, and then by the time we're back on Tuesday, hopefully the Mets either clinch or
we're talking Mets World Series on Tuesday, and like this whole thing seems like a joke. Yeah. That's what I could hope for.
Alrighty, let's have some fun. I think you came up with this idea right last week.
We teased this for a while though. Like, it's just been thrown around a lot, and we've been busy, never gotten to it.
Yeah. So
it's like, we'll do it this week, and then like breaking news happens, and it takes up 40 minutes. It's like, oh well, we're just cutting that segment.
But finally, today is the day we finally do it, and that is we have our list of random Giants that we might do, do here and there, but because there's so many random Giants players that we can think of. Me and Brian, we challenge ourselves to think of 10 random players without looking them up. And we did so successfully, I would say. We only looked up the players after we thought of them, so that we can look up research and stuff like that, just to give you guys like some insight on what made them, what were they known for when they were with the Giants. Because some we drafted, some we didn't, some were undrafted that signed with us as a free agent, others were acquired through draft or free agency. So I'm excited to see, because I think we spoke before the show. We don't have the same players.
Yeah, we don't have the same list. Like
Which is really
you made your
cool.
list before. You made your list last night. I made this morning, so I had access to your list. I looked at it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay away from these guys and go with players.
Sounds good. So we'll just take turns one by one, and we'll see what players you came up with or what we came up with. So let's start with you, man. Who was one of the first players that you came up with?
So I'll go number 10. For me, it's Rashad Jennings. He's the running back
Oh
from
yeah, yeah.
2015 to like 2017 ish.
Mhm.
He signed He was the Raiders guy. Signed a 2-year deal. I remember it because it was actually funny story with Rashad Jennings. So back in 6th grade, it was my first sports show. I hosted with 2 of my friends on like the middle school's television network because
Mhm.
he had like a TV club you can do. So we did a sports talk show like this. And I remember like every week I was looking at like the top NFL free agents, and the top list for running back was always Rashad Jennings. I'm like, wouldn't it be crazy if like the Giants got him? And then they got him, and it was like the best day of my life. Like, oh my god, we got a top running back. We're so back. Like, it was crazy. So like I know he wasn't like the greatest Giant, but like he is like that special memory of like this is a
Yeah.
big time player we brought in for us. So like he's more of a personal connection in like what he did on the field.
He wasn't a bad player too. Like he was a
No, he was
solid
decent, but like I think he got exposed in that Green Bay playoff game that like he just wasn't the answer at running back. Him
Mhm.
and Paul Perkins just like
Oh
really
my
just
god.
brutalized us
Yeah.
that series.
All right, Perkins. Hit that UCLA rookie. Oh my god. Yeah, that was good times. Good times. When we didn't have an RB1. But yeah, Jennings, I like this touchdown dance too. His celebration when he was, I don't know what it was. Like he
It was
drew
like it
like a
was, and then
walks through it. Yeah, that was
like,
fun to watch.
yeah,
I
it was
mean,
awesome. It was cool.
love Rashad Jennings. But all right, good start. I love it. Good start, baby. For me, first player I thought of off the top of my head, Ramses Barden. I know we talked about him on Tuesday, but I had to mention him. Was drafted in the 3rd round in 2009. I thought he was drafted later, but I guess it was 2009. Played in 12 games in 2012. Had 14 catches for 220 yards. His best game was the 9-catch, 138-yard breakout against the Panthers in 2012. Completely weird, random stat line. I knew he had one good game, but I was surprised that um it was the Carolina Panthers out of all teams. I don't know. It was just the randomest stat line I found. But
Yeah.
I remember like certain memories from that game. It was him and Andre Brown like they were the force of that game. Some foreshadowing there because Andre Brown is another player on my list I'll get to later. But yeah, Ramses Barden is the original number 13 before the
Before Mr.
best
Beckham.
Mr. Beckham himself. So let's just say Ramsey's kind of paved the road for I'm just playing.
Yeah. He laid the groundwork.
Exactly for number 13 to shine. But shout out to Ramsey Barden, man. All right, man. Who's the next player on your list?
Number 9 for me is Weston Richburg, the old left guard, moved to center. He was like the Giants' best lineman for years. Like I remember everyone was like, the Giants' offensive line is bad, but Weston Richburg's pretty good. Like I remember when he left in free agency, I was like crushed. I'm like, oh my god, he was the piece. He was the guy we were supposed to build around, and now he's gone. And this line is gonna be so much worse. In a lot of dark days of Giants' offensive linemen, he was the one guy that we could count on week in and week out to just be a little protection for Eli Manning.
After the days of Sean O'Hara and David Boss.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the next the next class was supposed to be him leading it, and like it just never materialized.
That he was solid and he did play for us. So hopefully John Michael Schmitz is the center for you.
It's what Weston Richburg's supposed to be. He'll finish what he started.
Exactly.
Another meme. Kylo Ren, Michael Smith, and Darth Vader's helmet is Richburg.
I know exactly. I'm gonna make hopefully if I have time, make a meme of that. Be like,
finish what you started.
All right. Second player on my list is gonna be Ryan Nassib, the 4th.
I love Ryan Nassib, Syracuse boy.
Syracuse boy himself. 4th round pick by the Giants in 2013. Played 5 games for the Giants in his career. Not really known for much statistical wise. 128 yards
I just yelled
passing.
that when Eli Manning pissed me off. That's it. I'm done. Put Nassib in. I'm done. I've
But
seen
that's
enough.
good. Eli's old. He's washed. We need the
Eli's
young.
old. Watch. Let's see what the kid's got.
Put the young guy in
All
there.
right, you're 10. Calm down.
He played well in the one game that.
He was decent.
Yeah, he went 5 for 5, 68 yards against Minnesota in 2015, which was crazy to see.
I remember that game because Odell was suspended. It was Sunday Night Football. Odell was suspended, and Eli had like one of the worst games I've ever seen. And they brought Nassib in, and he went right down the field. And like, well, when they would have done this to start if Nassib was in, it's like, well, they're playing prevent defense, Brian, and this is the backups. Like, no, he wouldn't have done this against the starters.
Like, I don't care, he went 5 for 5. Like, that's impressive as it is. But yeah, I really thought he was the QB of the future. Like, you were gonna groom him and kind of have him ready when Eli does retire. Didn't work out, but hey, you know,
I don't think the timeline worked out there because Nassib left us. I think Eli saw like another like three or four seasons.
Yeah, so Nassib was like really never gonna play for us or kind of compete for that starting job because Eli was just the unquestioned starter. But yeah, shout out to him, man. New York guy.
Yeah,
Love to see it.
Boy, the original Tommy DeVito. We got another one.
Yeah, we got another one. Alrighty, but all right, what's next on your list? What's next on your list, my guy?
Next on my list is a fan that all young Giants fans love. It's Prince Amukamara.
Oh yeah,
the corner right next to Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. He was kind of like a face of our secondary for a little while. I love watching him play. I remember like I had a calendar in middle school, a Giants calendar, and every time I saw him, like, oh, Prince, like you're underrated, but you're so good.
He's so good, so good. He had a cool name too, Prince
Amukamara. Like that's just like I remember like Bob Papa whenever like the interception would just like really sound out every single syllable, and like you just celebrated that.
The fresh Prince of East Rutherford, Mr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I spoke with him a lot in Madden. I like in the old Maddens, you could like develop players, so it'd be like 90 overalls. And I remember just like developing him to like become one of the best corners in the league. So,
yeah, like just has the perfect name, just Prince Amukamara, that anyone could just fall in love with. Like, oh my god, it's awesome. Like if he was like a good, like if he was like like one of the best corners in the league, he'd be like one of those guys that goes by the first name. Like everyone would just be like, oh, Prince, or like Saw, be Prince, or like maybe like in that sort of category of guys.
Yeah. God, I love that. I love that guy. But yeah, that's a good one. I like it. All right, next guy for me, Andre Brown. I mentioned him earlier. 4th round pick by the Giants in 2009. Played for Denver and Indianapolis in 2010. So he was released by the Giants after 1 year, but he rejoined the team in 2012 and 2013 as the backup running back. I played 18 games, 11 touchdowns, over 800 yards for New York in his Giants career.
He was the guy to replace Ahmad Bradshaw, right?
That is correct. Yeah, it was Andre Brown, David Wilson. Those were the 2 running backs for a while for New York. He's not on my list. I'm not sure if he is for you. Wilson is, but
Wilson is.
Okay,
yeah, he's high on my list.
I'll let you talk about him later then. But yeah, Andre Brown was one guy just came to mind, just randomly out of my head. That was the point of this game.
Exactly. Yeah. These players aren't good. Like if you notice, I'm not really naming stats. It's just stories with these players.
Just stories, yeah. All right, but what's next? Who's next for you?
Antrell Roll.
Antrell Roll.
Yeah, I loved Antrell. He was my first favorite player outside of like Victor Cruz and stuff. I just for whatever reason I felt so confident with him at strong safety. Another calendar guy I would see in my locker. Like I just love the way he played football. That's simple. If I was a Giants fan younger, I probably would have watched him, and he would have maybe want to play football.
he was a key piece of that Super Bowl run in 2011, 2012.
He was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a good
secondary.
Safety. He wasn't bad. He was solid. A good leader.
Guys coming up. I got a lot of Super Bowl guys coming up here.
But he was a good leader too. I will say he was a good leader for sure on that defense. All right. Random guy here. Larry Donnell. Undrafted tight end from
Donnell.
Yeah, dude.
That big catch against the Niners on Sunday Night Football.
Oh my God. That was the one play I was going to mention. Had a big catch against them. His breakout game was at 7 catches, 54 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Washington in 2014. And it was like 45-14 win for the Giants over the the Redskins that they were known for back then. But yeah, that big catch against SF to win the game. The coach was McAdoo, right? Yeah, it was
That was new. Was that the last year of Coughlin?
Yeah, one of the other.
Time. It's around that time. It's middle school. Like it's either Coughlin or it's McAdoo.
Yeah, one of the other.
Your first year McAdoo or it's last year Coughlin.
Exactly, one of the other. He was an inch like to be an undrafted guy and to have
McAdoo because I'm trying to think like McAdoo didn't have that win. I think it's Coughlin his last year.
Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, I mean, undrafted tight end out of Grambling State, out of all colleges, and he had a couple of games, like I mentioned, the SF game and the Washington game where he broke out. That he was good when he was good. Let's just say that he wasn't really known for anything after that, or otherwise outside those two.
I don't think he did anything. I think he's just retired.
Yeah,
I think he had a few practice squads.
Only 54 games played, so not a long career for him. But shout out to him, man, random giant. But all right, buddy, who's next for you?
One of the guys mentioned actually earlier in the show, Damian Snacks Harrison. He was, part of that big free agency class I mentioned earlier with Olivier Vernet. And the reason I put him on this list, he was a great giant, a great defensive tackle. Was stolen from the Jets. Was always pretty funny. You can make fun of your friends in middle school. That hey, we got your guy, haha. But I was at my buddy's house one time, and you remember the game against Carolina where they kicked that game-winning field goal with like seconds left, and it was a heartbreaker. I was at my buddy's house watching that game, and a drive earlier, Snacks Harrison dove. I'm pretty sure it's Christian McCaffrey at the time. And, like, you just saw it looked like a whale emerging from water. And I remember my buddy going, who the is that guy? Holy crap. I'm like, oh, that's Snacks. Like, yeah, he looks like he likes some snacks. It was just one of the funniest moments of my life. It ended with pure sadness, but, like, I'll always remember just, like, the pure shock and horror of seeing Damian Snacks Harrison dive at McCaffrey and my friend having a heart attack because of it.
He's a big dude, Harrison. He's a big dude. Man, if he still like was in his prime with Dexter Lawrence like right now.
Oh my god.
Oh man. And if he ran like a 4-3 defense. Shit. That's scary right there. He was a good defense from what I remember about him. He was a solid defensive tackle that got
the best signing out of those guys. I think was Snacks.
The Dexter Lawrence before Dexter Lawrence, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, good guy. Good name. All right, for me, kind of an old guy, sort of. R.W. McQuarters had a 10-year career in the NFL. He joined the Giants from 06 to 08. The reason why he came to mind was that interception he had against the Cowboys during that 2007-2008 Super Bowl run that sealed the victory in the divisional round. He was a versatile guy, though. He was not known for just his corner skills, but also kickoff and punt return. But that interception will always resonate with a lot of Giants fans because that sealed the win against a division rival in the playoffs, which is always something sweet. So shout out to R.W. McQuarters. All right. Who's next?
Next for me is another Super Bowl hero. And that is Chase Blackburn.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So had a decent career with the Giants, but he's most remembered for Super Bowl 46. He was in coverage downfield with Rob Gronkowski and jumped with Gronkowski and stole the ball from him, which led us down our game-winning drive. Like, it was a very big momentum shifter. I don't think we win that Super Bowl without the interception. So Chase Blackburn, huge. I don't think he did much outside of that, but forever a Giants legend with that interception.
He was mostly like a special teams guy, wasn't he?
Special team guys, yeah, but for some reason was in coverage with Gronk. And it's like, oh God, oh my God, he did it!
He got it. He picked off one of the best quarterback in the game.
Throwing Gronk in his prime. I know Gronk was banged up in that game, but like at that point in time, nobody was stopping Rob Gronkowski. Chase Blackburn.
Chase Blackburn, out of all people. All right. All right, next guy right here. David Carr, back up to Eli Manning in 08 and 09. Yep. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in those 2 years. First round pick.
First ever draft pick of the Houston Texans.
Yeah. And well, that's pretty much all he's known for. He wasn't that great. in Houston. He was okay with the Giants, played in 9 games for us, mostly as a backup role / mop up duty. Rejoined the Giants in 2012 for 2 games. But other than that, yeah, you just mentioned it. Known for being chosen by the Texans and the backup to Eli for a couple years. And yeah, so not very well known for his play. But yeah, he was he's a name. He's a name. Who's next on your list, bud?
This guy is one I don't think a lot of people are going to know about unless you're like a really diehard Giants fan and we're following week in and week out. Ryan Conley, linebacker.
Wisconsin.
So,
Yes,
Wisconsin. He had, if you forget Daniel Jones's first start ever against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he was the star on defense for that game. Like, he played a phenomenal game that game. I think he had an interception, a few tackles. I think he had a sack in there. Like, he was just all over the field. And then the very next game against Washington, he tears his ACL and never plays football again. But I just remember the week leading up to it. I remember, like, we found our future quarterback and we found the future of defense in Ryan Conley. Like, this guy's going to be really good. And then towards ACL, never play football again.
Sad stuff, man. ACL too.
It's sad stuff, but just like, again, it's just one of those guys. Like this is gonna be my guy. I'm calling it right. Oh my god, he's hurt.
He's hurt. Oh no! And then his career just died. But hey, he'll always have that one game to reminisce.
Got cut the next year. Like, it was bad. Did not survive long.
At least we have that one game to reminisce on. At least. So
he got the one game.
One game. Alrighty, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. For me, Zach Diossi, long snapper.
Long snap. Yeah, he was like a long snapper for like a decade, right?
Yeah. 2007, 2019. Was drafted in the 4th round as a linebacker. And yeah, it was like 4th round. Yeah, 4th round pick. Drafted as a linebacker. Didn't make many plays on defense, but special teams, he was the guy. I will say that. He made 2 Pro Bowls as a long snapper. So yeah, cool beans. Yeah, he was the definition of consistency and dependability. Smart, tough, dependable. That was Diossi for you. And will forever be a household name, which is crazy to say for a linebacker /
for a long snapper. But like, it's just every year. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. You pencil them in every year. Like, crazy.
Healthy always. Yeah. His job never in jeopardy. Like, he was solid. All right. As we approach our last 3 names, who do you got?
The guy we talked about earlier, David Wilson. I think
yes,
the biggest what ifs in Giants history. Like, we all remember that great game he had against the Browns. We had the 2 touchdowns, awesome touchdown celebration with the backflip. Unfortunately, had that horrific neck injury. Was a try to retire from NFL, try to make the Olympics. Never did it. But I truly think if David Wilson stays healthy, we never draft Saquon Barkley. And Giants history is so much different had Wilson just stayed healthy for that season.
He was such an RB1. Like, he was fast.
Star, and he just got hurt. It's just like, and Giants history is so much different. Maybe win that game in Green Bay because we can actually run the ball with Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
To this day, I'm like, Giants history is so much different if Wilson just stays healthy.
Yeah. He was just so fast. That game against New Orleans where he had a kickoff return for touchdown.
Yeah, he had 300 yards and 200 was from special teams.
Insane,
like, he was just good.
He was blazing fast. The Saints team had no answer for him whatsoever. Like, I miss those days, man. I just that damn neck injury, dude. And I just
and then he became a track star, like going to the Olympics. I'm like, that's my guy. He's gonna win a gold.
That's my guy.
He never did. Oh crap.
Yeah. We'll always have that one game to reminisce on, at least against the Saints. So, all right. You know how we beat Seattle the other day? You know who else beat Seattle? Colt McCoy.
What are you going with? Mr. McCoy.
Mr. McCoy.
By the way, Texas quarterback. He should have won national championship with Texas. Like,
yeah.
Colt McCoy. Come on, I get more Texas than that.
That's a real Texas name right there. Colt McCoy was a 1-year rental for the Giants in 2020. He went 1-on-1 as a starter, for 375 yards in that year. But he was well known. Well, 375 yards in that season, but was well known for his 1 touchdown performance against the Seattle Seahawks that beat them. He beat Seattle 17-12 in Week 12 of the 2020 season. It was him and Wayne Gallman Jr. who led the way for
Wayne Gallman. Loved him.
Out of all people to lead us to wins, it's those.
The other guy should have made the list, but didn't. Wayne Gallman, honorable mention.
That's a good one. I miss him. He
Hmm.
was Clemson guy. He was solid when he started.
He was solid, yeah.
Yeah, not too.
I remember, like when we were trying to draft Saquon, I'm like, no, we have Wayne Gallman. We're fine. We don't need
Yeah.
Saquon. We need a quarterback.
But now they have Saquon and Gallman on the same team. I was like, we'll get 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Hmm.
Shout out to Colt McCoy. But
Yeah.
all right. Who do you
All
got?
right, so I'll finish off here because I listed these two are the guys that inspired this list, so I'll kind of put them together.
Okay.
It's John Beeson and Ruben Randall. Like we talked about it last week,
Oh.
two of the unproven stars. Like Beeson was like kind of similar to Richburg. The Giants linebacking core was really bad, but they had John Beeson. He's really good. Like that's a guy they can build around. And Ruben Randall, just a solid wide receiver for 4 years. One of Eli's favorite targets was always that wide receiver 3 you can count on. Never did anything else outside the Giants, but hey, every week it's like, oh, Ruben Randall, he's just a reliable, dependable guy.
Usually we get lost with the Hakeem Nicks and the Victor Cruzes of the world.
Cruz, Hakeem Nicks. There's always somebody better than him, but like he was just a solid, just kind of honestly Gary Slayton, modern day comparison. Just without the drops. Week in, week out, you just like, all right, like Singletary, Slayton's gonna have a few catches, and like Slayton's probably not gonna do anything else outside the Giants. Ruben Randall, similar path.
Yeah, very similar indeed. Love it. And then you mentioned John Beeson. There's a highlight video of him.
He was good. He was like underrated.
He was a great
bad Giants teams.
Yeah, but he was like a solid piece in the middle of that defense, as the middle linebacker. Beeson was. So shout out to him and Randall. Great names. For me, I'll finish as well with these two big backs. One of them is going to be Derek Ward, drafted by the Jets in 2004, joined the Giants after being waived that same season. 1,025 yards in 2008, had 2 touchdowns that year as well, was the backup to Brandon Jacobs. It was a 3-headed monster in that backfield with Jacobs, Ward, and Bradshaw. Not a bad trio.
Not bad.
Like
not
bruising guys. They had 2 bruising backs in Jacobs and Ward, and that speedster and Bradshaw. You can't get anything better than that.
No, sir.
And then I know usually we don't talk fullbacks because fullbacks are pretty much existent or non-existent, I should say.
I love this guy. I know exactly who you're going to bring up.
Henry Hainas. Dude, that is such a fullback name. Look, the whole
He had that amazing touchdown dance.
He only scored 1 touchdown in his career for the Giants. Undrafted
fullback. The best touchdown of all time.
Exactly.
Against the Eagles, too. Last game of 2012. And he hit them with that. I'm like, this is my favorite of all time.
He didn't have a long career with us, 4 years, but you mentioned the touchdown dance and just the name, dude. And he was a fullback. Like,
it's a fullback name. It's like Colt McCoy playing for Texas. It's just that. Like, yes, that's a fullback. Yes, Colt McCoy is a quarterback for Texas. Prince Amukamara is 100% a quarterback.
God, this is just too much fun to make, honestly. Just thinking of these random guys and their either impact or little impact they made on this team or what they were just known for in general. So many notable names for our Giants, even though they didn't mean
one guy we both missed. There was one guy. I thought of him. Lefty.
Oh, hefty lefty.
Lefty. Oh, Jerry Lorenzen.
Rest in peace to him. Yeah, Jerry Lorenzen.
Yeah. It's so great watching Super Bowl 42 highlights. It's like, oh my God, there he is.
There he is, Jerry Lorenzen. God.
He was he's so much fun. I heard just such a great dude too.
Yeah,
like a guy you just want to sit and have a beer with.
He was a big dude. Could have been, more of a lineman than anything.
Quarterback, we loved him.
Exactly. So rest in peace to him, man. But
had some of the greatest nicknames of all time.
It's crazy because we may be a bad team right now, and history shows that we've been bad for a while. But we can't deny there's been a lot of great names and just unknown, underrated guys have come through this organization and played either well for us or known for something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of being a sports fan, right? It's just just names that will always
these weird guys that you're just connected with forever.
Exactly. So yeah, this is fun. I love it. Hell of an idea by you. as always. And that will wrap up episode 33, longest episode we've had. But hey, a lot of fun, of course, as always. Next Tuesday, we'll break down Giants and Eagles. Hopefully, the Mets are in the World Series by the time we record next on Tuesday. Or Brian will be stressed out and will probably be what, game 6 or game 7 by the time Tuesday rolls around. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, you can always follow us on social media. Mine is Nathan _Nguyen24. Brian is
keep doing it wrong.
you go. There you go. Brian is PG1016, and then you can follow us on all platforms at 3rd and 10.
I hate how this is mirrored.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think you could we'll figure it out.
That's a lot of technical stuff that I'm not doing.
Shout out to you though, new mic, love it. What's it called? There was one guy, shout out to him. He was like, I hope you guys bring back Wordle. Plus, Brian sounds great, but his mic always cuts off. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
So
well, now we got this thing. So let's hope this works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it honestly worked way better than before. AirPods are just they're a pain sometimes.
Come on, Apple.
I know. Step up your game, Apple.
You have a monopoly in the U.S. You can't make these things work for a podcast.
Exactly. Figure it out, But yeah, so we're on all platforms, except Facebook, but we'll work on that eventually. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. There will be a clip out today, and then audio version will be out today as well. And then expect clips throughout the rest of the week until Tuesday. But yeah, like I said, follow us on all platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. For Brian, I'm Nate. Good luck to your Mets, Brian, as always. Giants, if you win,
we'll celebrate. If not, we'll be miserable.
Yeah, it'll be the same crap next week, but we'll find out.